The plague spreads, warping flesh, twisting minds, turning the world to ruin. You were not born for peace. You were forged in the dark, where only the strong survive. Plaguebound is a dark fantasy tabletop RPG where survival is brutal and mercy is a weakness. Play as the Kroghorn, mighty guardians of the wild, the Anakin, ancient fungal monks, the Jorvik, relentless hunters, or one of many others forged in this dying world. Face horrors twisted by the plague, wield forbidden magic, stand against the darkness, or become it. Built on the Ironbound system, Plaguebound is fast, deadly, and cinematic. Use brutal combat, powerful mutations, and cunning tactics to carve your legend. The darkness is coming. The question is, will you fight it or join it? Back Plaguebound now, before it's too late.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Geekout. It's Geekout interview. With us today, we have Jason Campbell from Shadomain. Jason he's been a blast so far, and DM Tails had him on earlier in the week, and that was a great interview. It was actually a week and a half ago, week ago, almost.
Yeah.
Jason, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, why you're amazing?
Sure. Like you said, I'm Jason Campbell, GM for life, but everywhere else on the internet, I'm Shadomain on all the socials and at our website, shadomain.com, where we've been publishing weekly articles, reviews, news, interviews for, I think, almost 3 years now, something like that. We talk about everything. There's a lot of GM advice, but we interview everybody from people you might see and talk to at conventions, the big names, to people that just started last week, because we want to give every part of the community a voice, because it's all cool.
I love that.
And then once in a while, we also release things. I write supplements for all different game systems.
I love that you're open to allowing everyone in the industry to come
It can take some nudging when people see, you've interviewed, Seth Gorkowski. I just started in January. I'm like, no, but we need every opinion. We need to see how people interact with it, what people love about it, everything. It's all good.
So you said you're a GM for life. Like, is that a conscious choice, or is it just...
I should tag that on. I'm a GM for life by choice. I don't play anymore, and it's to the extent that I play once in a while one shots so I can learn how other people GM, because we're all a work in progress, and you're always learning all the time. I hope I am.
100%. I mean, that's life is not fun if you're not learning.
Yeah. But I did start a very, very long time ago, and then we all wanted to play, and we yelled at each other until we each took a turn in the GM chair. So it's not like I never played.
I started Hello, Nate. I started in the GM chair because my friend went to college and somebody had to take his spot. So
yeah,
I jumped into that, and I've been a GM ever since. I love playing, but I do love GMing. Creating a story and telling that story and letting the players manipulate that story and change it is my favorite thing. Including the chaos. Even Nate just came into the chat. Nate was one of my players in one of games, and he was the most chaotic person I've ever played.
Cool.
So you have some great advice on Shadomain. I've been looking over it. How did Shadomain come about? Like, did it just like naturally progress into a blog that you posted every week or every?
Yeah, I've been my training and such is in graphic design. So I've been writing websites since like 1996. So actually Shadomain started because I'll tell you about the name later. I
Sure.
wanted the name, so I bought the domain name and did nothing with it. Because I didn't want anybody else to have it, as if that would happen, right? It's a word I made up, but you never know. So after a while, I was headfirst into the game as a GM, as a writer, as a player, and it was a place to park my thoughts for a while, until my partner, Gamer Mom Luna, and I sort of were like, "Hey, I should do this all the time." So it's been about 3 years that we've been doing it at least one article a week. The pacing changes as real life gets in the way, but we always have at least an article a week.
You're ahead of
Sometimes
me.
more.
I'm lucky if I post every couple weeks when I remember. Hey, look at speaking of gamer
There
mom,
she is.
there she is. Is that
Uh,
above that?
yeah, so the word Shadowmain, so it's SHADOMAIN, because when I was 14, I thought it was really clever that I combined shadow and domain, is the name of my first campaign world from 1982 or something like that.
Nice.
And I've just kept it ever since. It's been the name of many, many campaign worlds over the years. So I figured I'll use it for my domain name. And it did work out because since I made it up, I was able to grab it. It's not a common term, so I could get it at all the socials.
Well,
And I
Watcher
feel for
DM
those of
thinks
you
it
who
is
have a
clever.
more common thing and you can't get your name on this. I feel bad, but make up a word. What can I say?
Hey, I mean, Grimwood's not a word.
Yeah.
I wanted a dark forest or a logo, and then I changed my logo to not be a dark forest.
Right.
But so so you've been DMing for how long? Since 96 or longer?
DMing?
Yeah.
I started playing the game with the Moldvay basic set in 1981. So when I DM'd my first game, I'm not sure, but we were obsessed. We were teenagers, so it probably was only a couple of months from there. I had one friend who had played it before, so he had to DM the first few times, and then we would just take turns. But I fell in love with it because I like the world building. So back then we had this was actually before Forgotten Realms was really a thing, but I had the Greyhawk Gazetteer, the first real campaign world that we had. So I love that, and except that I didn't want to play in it. I wanted to build my own. I just used it as a guide. So my friends would run modules when it was their turn to DM, but I was the only one really creating like worlds and stories and stuff. So I kind of got stuck with it. And
So
I stopped for a couple of decades and then came back to it during 5e.
so when you build a game world, what are you looking for? Like, are you looking for like are you looking for cities and that type of thing, or are you focusing on more like here are some story elements in the world?
It depends. A little of everything. All those worlds we were pretty much only playing D&D at the time. So I have general ideas. I purposely barely developed the setting. I'm not drawing a world with 75 cities. And the last one I did that was homebrew, I started with 3 cities and a couple of trees over here for forest, and we just built it as we went.
You build out, yeah.
Yeah.
That's usually
Yeah.
how I run my worlds too.
Sometimes there's a theme to it, like, like an Eberron kind of thing where, this is, you're adventuring in the collapse of this massive war between two old empires, or, economics has collapsed, or elves are brand new to this world. Some general theme like that. But usually I don't prep plot too far. So usually it's just, here's the scenario you're in, and I see what my players are up to. At least that's how I do it now.
I have a general outline, and that outline very much changes session to session.
So I'm about to finish either next week or the week after a 3-year-long 5e campaign in Monty Cook's Tolus world. So more than 3 years ago. At that time, I had 1 week written and some bullet points for the next 2 weeks. I had no idea what we were doing. I just knew what they were going to be up against. And it's turned into a giant story about, like, demons taking over the world and all the usual suspects.
All the usual suspects, yeah. No, I've totally done those, like, we'll do this one shot that's pre-written, and then it becomes this big campaign that lasts 2 years, 3 years, and you're like, okay, I guess that was not just a one shot. But yeah, a lot of people are asking, do you focus on building up your players, or do you focus on the player versus DM scenario? Like, you come from the old school background where player versus DM was kind of a major thing back then. How do you play now? Like, do you mostly focus on story and player agency?
I don't know how to. I could say the game has changed, and a lot of people do, because this was all through the 80s, where it was more adversarial. But we were also teenagers, and I've also grown up. So it's some combination of those things together. But yeah, I've just, I've played that way before, and I'm doing something different now. So I know I'll probably get a lot of reaction to this, but I look at the game as the GM is just another player. They're just a player with different responsibilities.
That's 100%. Yeah.
So yeah, I like it, but I don't build out. I like GMing, but now it's different. I don't write the Greyhawk Gazetteer like I said I used to. When I developed Shadomain, I had like 2 binders worth when I was a kid. And here's the here's the goods that this country trades, and everyone worships these 6 gods, and
you had these drawings of these characters that were in the city that you're going to. Yeah. I definitely did that when I was in high school.
But now I don't. Like I said, I started with 3. Last time I started with 3 cities. This time I had Tolus, which, if you don't know, is this. Well, I can't say the size of a phone book. No one knows what a phone book was anymore. But it's a book big enough to. It's good for safety, because if someone robs you, you can knock them out with it. It's 640 pages of just one city. But
I mean, you can't even use encyclopedias.
I had read maybe half of it, probably even less. So I just knew where we were going to start. And that's what I'd like to do. Tolus for instance, has a big underground area. So you could be dungeon crawlers. It has a giant spire, like a mile-tall tower that you could explore. It's got all the graveyards and hidden dungeons and city works. So you could do whatever you wanted. So what I do typically, I've settled on, basically I throw 3 plot threads out at any given time, and when I can, it's like, there's some treasure here, there's some political intrigue here, and there's a monster to fight over here, and I just see what they go for, and that's
whatever the player wants to do. Yeah. I'm the
If
same way.
you
I'm
play for
very
long enough,
world.
you'll get the habit. Hey, they're never going for the political intrigue. I guess I won't go that way, or vice versa. And in my case, the players didn't really want to go into the dungeons that much. They were they wanted to play in the city.
I mean, it's one of those situations where when you have your players at your table, within 20 minutes you can tell where they're going to go as
Yeah.
far as like, are you going to be a treasure hunter? Are you going to be a dungeon diver? Are you a combat monkey? Are you all about the story? That type of situation.
Right.
Um,
So I think, well, I realized I kind of strayed from the question. Um,
oh, you're fine.
I'm not adversarial. I'm on the player's side. And I think that's the way I want all my games to run that way. Even horror games where they're all going to die. I'm still on the player's side right up until they die.
Until they die, yeah.
Um,
Uh,
but I
Go ahead.
don't, my prep, I will probably like give them I'll probably have one session prepped and then some like bullet pointed notes for a few sessions out there. But that way, if they never go in this direction, all I've lost is a few sentences and I haven't prepped. I'm trying to avoid, we've all got
I
real
do
lives and I'm trying to avoid
I,
spending 10 hours writing something you don't use.
I do very little prep work. I'm a very
Yeah.
prepless DM. I tend to, if the players want a story to go this way, I just kind of go that way.
Yeah.
Um,
I do say I'm not particularly comfortable with games with literally no prep where you're supposed to come at it and improv the whole thing. I like
no.
improv, but my brain works ahead. So I'm going to be thinking about what could happen later, you know.
I usually have a story that I want to tell, and
Mhm.
then if the players change that story, I'm okay with it. It's not like
Yep,
it's not gonna
absolutely.
tip it's not going to hurt me inside if they change that story. Um,
Yep.
and I think that's kind of where the player versus DM feeling comes from, is a DM that wants to have a story that he or she wants to tell, that they just don't want to release to the public to change. And I think that kind of was where it comes from, strays from. I
Yeah.
could be wrong. It's just an opinion. Um, okay, so we are getting questions about hint. So let's
Oh yeah.
dive into so you've been writing off and on different things for Cipher System and other systems.
Yep.
And you wrote Hint for a while ago. Do you want to tell the story of Hint, or shall I just
Sure.
continue?
So this is 3 or 4 years ago. I forget exactly, but I was fairly new to the Cypher system, but I liked it because it's one of those like genreless systems, like Cortex or GURPS or something you could use for fantasy or sci-fi. Or in my case, I was looking at goofy modern stories, and I just had the idea. Oh, what would happen if we turned a game like Clue? It's inspired by a game like Clue, but we did it role playing. And I used the cipher rules straight out of the box, basically created that. And the premise was right before the game, I would randomly pick a player character, and that character did it. And then I would tell that character, and they had different goals. Like they could win the game if they escaped with these certain amount of clues, and now they couldn't be found. And the other player character's goal was to find enough clues to figure out who was the bad guy. And it was really fun. But the first thing that came up is this game isn't really built to do that because everybody's investigating. So the guy with the pole arm or the guy who can cast magic missile is kind of wasting some skills.
Not
So
helping.
it was fun for a while. And then I put it back in a couple of maybe last year, a couple of years later, I looked at it again and dove in and rewrote it so it had a different character system. So I really pared down the Cipher system. Cipher, you start out, instead of abilities, you have 3 pools, might, speed, and intellect, that you spend to do certain things. Well, since this is investigation, I just cut out speed and might. There's almost no combat in the game. So you just have one pool called points. and it effectively is your intellect pool. So I simplified it to just what you would need to play this one-shot version of a murder mystery. And that part of it worked great. But the motivation of the characters and the whole, it was really hard to get one of the players randomly did it, to get that to work. And then balance, I know balance, right? But I had to balance to make it equally hard or easy for the players to figure out who it was, or this guy, or the murderer to get away with it. That was really hard. So I came to the idea that, you know what, this is a great board game. Maybe it isn't a role-playing game. And then I finally last year started reading Jason Cordova from the Gauntlet, Brindlewood Bay, which if you're not into it yet, Brindlewood Bay is a combination of Murder, She Wrote, a little bit of Golden Girls, and Cthulhu horror. But the premise, it is a really open system. The premise of Brindlewood Bay is you're a bunch of elderly females investigating murders, but even the GM doesn't know who did it. The goal, the mechanics are, you go around and collect clues. When you've collected enough clues, you as players have to come up with a solution, and it could be anything you can think of. If you have enough clues, it affects your die roll, and then you make a dice roll to see if your solution is correct.
Oh, that's cool.
So I wrote this. I said, well, this is how to do it, right? And I wrote Hint as an adventure for Brindlewood Bay, and it still is that. It still is available that way. But while I was writing it, I said, wait a minute. If I bolt the character system part of it onto this, I could make a cipher adventure out of this too. So now it's available for Brindlewood Bay as an adventure, or for a modified cipher system, which is pretty much self-contained, by the way. That version, it has the character creation, it has pre-gens. You could run it without the cipher system book, thanks to Monty Cook releasing the cipher system open license.
Yeah, that's such a great license.
Yeah.
Open license.
Yeah, that's a possibility, Elusive SOL. That in the book, I list the possible suspects just to help out the GM, and the first suspect is the player characters, because it's not adversarial, right? You could just yeah, maybe you want to be the murderer, and maybe you accidentally killed somebody, because you're making up the story of how the murder happened. It can be as weird or scary or fun as you like.
You do have some great suspects in there.
Yeah. Do
like
you want to tell them
Checkers.
about that?
I love Checkers. Checkers is just a suspect. Checkers is a tabby cat, just an orange tabby cat. I love it. And you have some great ones in here. I bought the book a couple days ago, and I've been really enjoying reading it. Who's your favorite suspect that you wrote?
Oh, my favorite suspect. I think, I don't know. How can I pick? They're all my children.
I mean, Uncle Moneybags is pretty
Uncle
good too.
Moneybags, I think, is my favorite. So I mixed in a lot of toys and game references. So there's Uncle Moneybags. There are ciphers if you play the cipher system version, like the Cubix Cube, and they help you do different things.
Your maps are really interesting too. The kind of maps that you kind of provide are kind of they come with that like game feel type feel.
Yeah, I used to play on a board similar to a certain murder mystery board game, if that gives you a clue. But there was no reason for that. Like, there's a reason that a board game would have to be set up that way. So I did that, but because Brindlewood Bay and Cipher System, they both use abstract distances. You don't need a grid to play on. The rooms are more or less like cartoon views of each room.
Right.
And there's even the possibility that you could find secret doors, but the secret doors aren't integrated into the map. It literally tells you these don't have to make any geographic sense. You could just pick 2 rooms and say there's a secret passage between them.
I would totally put one under the kitchen sink. Just because.
It's pretty crazy how it ends up sometimes.
Oh, I bet this is so much fun. I can't wait to actually try it. I might get DM Tales to run it though, because he knows Cypher System better than I do.
Well, this is so different. It doesn't. I think I mentioned it to Wes. It's so different. You wouldn't have to have played Cypher before. In fact, because Cypher is strong in a lot of ways, your Cypher character isn't defined particularly by class or race. It typically is you build a sentence, and the sentence has the form: I am an adjective, noun, who verbs. An adjective, that's your descriptor. It could be something like brave or funny or whatever. And then your type is typically like warriors and stuff. But your focus in those games will be like bears a halo of fire or drives too fast, something like that. And it gives you skills. But in this game, you don't need that many skills. So your focus is instead a personality quirk. And whenever you execute that and some other character agrees, yeah, you did that, that's the only way you can heal in the game if you take damage.
Oh, okay.
So it's that in that way, it's completely different than the ways it's almost the opposite of the way Cypher works. Oh, watch your DM. How does hint work in that regard? Does that mean as far as it being like linear or reacting to the characters? It kind of is. Hint is written that way. There are a number of scenes, but it doesn't go scene to scene to scene. It's up to the GM to say, like, if there's a scene that says this isn't one of them, you hear a chandelier crash from the other room. That could be the first thing they hear or the last thing they hear, or it doesn't happen at all. It's very much, it very much gives the GM tools to work with, but it relies on them to in the order that things happen. And that way you have, and this will be easier for some GMs than others. That way you have tools to manage the pacing.
BGD, it's still early. I could run a Cypher System. I see, maybe. I'm not good at running Cypher, only because I hadn't played it well. I didn't understand how to play it until Wes dragged me into a Cypher System. Then I understood. Oh, okay, that's how you play it.
Well,
like I read the book, I just couldn't.
Sessions too.
Yeah, I read the book and I'm like, I just can't. The concepts are not coming to me. And then I played in a game, and that DM was in the same boat as me. He kind of understood the concepts, but didn't. And then Wes, threw me in a one shot, and it was like, this is how you play Cypher. It was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where is Crit? Crit is an online. In June, there's Runehammer. Is running a Crit, which is a online convention. So it's just online. You can just come in, and it's 100%. I don't think they're charging for it at all.
No, and it goes over like from one weekend to the next. It's really long.
It goes from Saturday to Sunday of the next week. It's great. I'm running several Plague Bounds, several Iron Bounds. I'm running Easy D6 and Index Card RPG there.
I've thought about that. I could run Hint or any Cypher, really. It just seems like since it's Crit, I'm like, shouldn't I be running Easy D6? Maybe we could play Hint in Easy D6.
I'm sure you could. Yeah, I mean,
you could do anything with Easy D6. It's a great system.
100%. And it's so influential to me in my system. Easy D6 was so influential. And DM Scotty is so helpful and nice about
Yeah, really.
everything. So you could run some hint, yeah.
Yeah.
So where, like, yeah, how did you decide to make the layout? Because it feels very mobile, if that makes sense.
Very
Like,
mobile.
yeah, like you could run it on a phone and swipe up and
Oh,
down through it on a phone instead of being more of like, here's a paper layout.
oh,
Yeah, I can show some of the layout. Hold on one sec. I'll switch over so people can
yeah.
see what I'm seeing.
Yeah, from a layout perspective, some of it is just like general layout. If anybody's done graphic design, there's not that many words. So an 8.5 by 11 2-column, it just they just wouldn't need that many pages. So I figured this was my opportunity to make it digest size with a single column on 5.5 by 8.5,
I
which is
definitely like the layout.
obviously better suited for a phone.
It just feels kind of phone like to me. BGD says drop me a line and I can set that up, the hint at Crit.
Yeah, I gotta look at my schedule that week because I don't know if Runehammer intended this or not, but it starts on the weekend that is also free RPG day, depending on
Oh
your
wow.
current hobby store.
I did not know that.
But I'm only running one thing at free RPG day, so I've got the rest of the week.
Yeah, the font's really good too. Like, I mean,
Thank
I
you.
know you said you had some graphic design experience, but
See if Gamer Mom Luna's here. No, she hasn't laughed, so she's not here. Yeah. So I'm a graphic designer by training. I've actually been making fonts for more than 25 years. That's my day job. Yeah, there she is. But I didn't make these fonts. Everything came from a company called Vintage Type, including the illustrations, and this is what they do. They're really great.
I love fonts. Fonts are so important, and they're so hard to get the right ones. You can get ones that work really well, but there's always that thing in the back of your mind saying, "Can I get a better one?"
Yeah.
Um,
Mr. Blawface, yes, and I actually work with the guy who directed the movie. It's a small industry. It's like TTRPGs, but even smaller.
very small. Yeah. Um. So yeah. So this is basically the book. You get like so you have so it feels like to me, and I'm not sure if this is fully the case. It feels like
Mhm.
here's a general idea of what you could do in the system in it, but
Yeah.
feel free to do what you think would be good. Um, so but like these are the rooms that I was talking about. Like I just love the design. It's so good.
The
And
room maps were the only thing I actually drew myself, by the way.
I love that
Everything else I
like
borrowed.
they're just cartoony and it just
Yeah.
fits in the realm. Um, because you don't need that. It's everything is just I run over there, or I go here. It's like easy D6 as far as like
Yeah.
spacing is concerned. Um uh so and uh let's see. Any other questions from the group? Where is the link to find more? It should be at the bottom of the screen. Now you got me worried that it's not. Uh,
You
now I'm
can
gonna
go
have to
to
check this.
shadomain.com and look in our shop. But it'll also be in our blog. There's a post about everywhere you can get it because you could get it from us. You could get it
Oh,
from drive through. You can get it from itch.io.
I can send you the link for it here. Oh, they wanted the link for crit.
Oh, the link for crit. Yes. Thank you, BGB.
Crit. I'll grab it. Give me a sec, guys. I'll grab it real quick.
Yeah, I didn't do. Actually, it wasn't crit last year. It was.
Runehammer. It was Runehammer.
Yeah, but yeah,
I did not mean to join the stage.
cool.
I'm going to just share my screen, and then people can look at this.
Nice.
It's game@crit.com.
Cool.
But sorry.
No, that's more people come to crit, the better off. It's a great Discord community too. So
it is a great Discord community. I like crit. I'm very excited about doing everything I'm doing. I'm actually excited to have Ironbound and Plaguebound at crit this year. Because last year I did Jason, I'd love to talk to you about participating.
Sure. You can get me through the web. Actually, you know what? You can find me anywhere. Discord, I'm Shadomain. I'm Shadomain everywhere. So
what's funny is I actually went on for my Plaguebound and Ironbound streams. I actually have the image already up, Chris. I just forgot to add it to my interview streams. So we'll get it back. We'll get it on the next one, next interview. But I'm glad you brought it up because I am excited about crit. And are you doing any in-person cons?
Is that for me or for you?
That's for you because they already know where I'm going.
Oh, they already know.
Yeah.
The only one I'm confirmed for is PAX East in Boston in May. I need to figure out in the next week or so about Gamehole Con and or PAX Unplugged. Those are the ones I would be at.
West is trying to talk me into Gamehole Con. I'm not sure.
Unless you're very local, because I'll also be running a game at Rising Phoenix in Massachusetts at the end of April.
That's at the end of April?
Yeah.
I'll have to try to make that one. Because I'm local, so, and so isn't Neil. Neil is local, so he is going to Rising Phoenix. So
yeah, I'm not running Hint there. I'm running one game of another book that we're writing, Six Gun Doomsday.
You want to start talking about that, or
sure, I'll give you the brief.
Sure. Anyway. I wasn't sure.
Six Gun Doomsday is a cipher adventure. So it's basic cipher system with a few bolt-on cool things to go with the setting. And the idea is it is a combination of Weird West and Gothic horror and post-apocalypse. That shortly after the Civil War, an apocalypse kills 90% of the world's civilization. But the apocalypse isn't nuclear war or space aliens. It's an explosion of like undead and fiends and all this other stuff. And you've got the standard like Western type characters, and you also have a lot of steampunky mechanics, mostly in the form of ciphers and weird inventors. So it's a mishmash kind of thing.
So before the world exploded with these monsters and demons, did the world actually know about magic, or was it just like blah?
No, it was. It was. I mean, obviously, this is an alternate Earth. I don't know if you know, but this didn't actually happen. It's they didn't just skip over it in history class. I actually made that part up. No, but yeah. Other than that, say 1870, the world is roughly the same as it was.
Oh, okay.
Except that, you may insert your own mad spiritualist inventor who knew about it, but for the most part, the world didn't. The only thing that's different is that there's like a side industrial revolution, which created all the weird
Weird science type stuff.
steampunky kind
Yeah.
of things. So there was that going on.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Also
Yeah,
really
it's in the form of 6 separate adventures, so you could run it as a sort of a 6-act, like a mini campaign, or you could pull any of them out, and run them as one-shots.
nice.
And it borrows a little bit from a lot of other games. It uses the cipher system, but I love other games. You could probably tell by now. So I took this from Brindlewood Bay. I took this from Kids on Bikes, and yeah,
That's
not literally.
much
I didn't actually
right.
I didn't actually steal anything. I'm just.
But it was inspiration.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing with mine. My system. I like a lot of games, as you can tell too, and I like it. It was a lot of inspiring of like,
Yeah.
hey, okay, this is how this works. This is
Right.
neat. What if I changed it this way and made it
Right.
so
Anyway, so that was a long answer to that's what I'm running at Rising Phoenix, one of those one-shots.
that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm going to Rise or Phoenix, and I will be at your game.
All right, I'll see you there.
Um,
Yeah, I guess since I brought it up, so Monty Cook releases a few books a year, and the
Mhm.
crowdfunder from spring 2024, which is about to release this year, the 3 books, one of them was like a Weird West. It's High Noon at Midnight. So this, rather than me reinventing the wheel, this will be an adventure after that comes out. But hey, if you like their white book, which is usually like a setting and some alternate rules, but there are setting specific things. Like there's the dark forces that cause this explosion, and the good spirits, and you can call in the dark forces if you really get in bad trouble, but that could role play badly for you later, and this kind of stuff. But otherwise, it'll work with the upcoming cipher system book.
Nice. Always good. Well, I think I'm out of questions. You answered more than I was expecting.
I did.
You did.
Well, I did tell you that you can't stop me. I'll keep talking about
it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, so everybody can find you on Shadomain.com.
Yeah.
And if you don't, check out his blog, because he has some really, really, really good player and GM tips on there. I've been scouring it for the past couple days, and that's some really good tips.
Thanks.
I don't know how you come up with ideas for a blog. I'm struggling with that, but I just keep writing.
Not all of them are mine. I do most of the writing, I would think, but anybody who's interested, we use outside writers. We do a lot of interviews and reviews, so it's that too. But I also, as Gamer Mom Luna could tell you, I listen to as many other people as I can. So sometimes that stirs up ideas, right? Whether that's, oh, that's good advice. What if you did this? Or maybe that's stupid. Here's how I think about that. Not literally that's stupid, but you disagree with somebody, and
yeah. I mean, I've disagreed with people all the time. I definitely have had thoughts where, no, I don't want that at my table. But everybody has their own table, is my thought process.
I mean, the other thing is most of our posts are fairly short, so
they are fairly short. Yeah, but they are really good.
I hope we don't I hope we're not asking for too much commitment, right? You can read it in, I think Google usually estimates 3 minutes for our posts. So
Yeah, yeah, and I'm trying to stay very similar. Short posts about little things. Um,
yeah,
so
we're not
uh,
TikTok yet, but we're not writing novels either.
I just started my blog, so I'm kind of like new to this whole blogging thing. So, um,
I did.
any,
I
Mhm.
actually learned a lot. I've written a few different series for Kobold Press's blog,
Mhm.
and Jeff Quick, who works there, is a fantastic editor. So not only did he do a lot of great editing when I was for the stuff I did for them, but I was like, well, I should do that in my own play. So
Yes, editing, a bane of mine when I write.
yeah,
Um, but this has been great, Jason. Thank you for coming on, and more than happy to have you back on when your weird science stuff comes on.
yeah,
Want to talk about that more in detail. Um,
sure.
but thank you so much. Thank you everybody who was here, who stuck
Yeah,
around
thanks.
and asked all those wonderful questions. Um, you guys all have a wonderful night. Stick on, Jason. I want to say goodbye to you one more time.
All
Uh,
right. Thanks, everybody.
thank you, everybody. We are